we're diving into a builder group with over 20 years of experience that has firmly established itself in the uber luxury real estate segment in Hyderabad. We're talking about the DSR SSI Group. Well, firstly, this is part of the larger series where we're exploring the top 10 builders in Hyderabad, and this is the third builder we're exploring going by alphabetical order. Firstly, I was surprised to see so many different names. We have DSR Infra, SSI, DSR Builders and Developers. So I wanted to really understand and get to the bottom of this. Like, who are these folks? Well, firstly, there are three different business entities. There's DSR Infra, which is led by Devaneni Sudhakar Reddy, which is in short DSR. This is the first group that started, and then there is SSI, which is Sri Srinivasa Infra, led by V. Krishna Reddy. These two groups actually are the backbone of this, overall firm. And at one point, they actually even reported their financials together. We'll get to that. And then much later came in DSR Builders and Developers, who is Mr. Raghurami Reddy, who is the brother of DSR, which is Sudhakar Reddy, and they're relatively new into the space. Right, so that's the breakdown. So the three groups, when we explore the projects, we'll try and see who is leading that particular project. But what I've noticed is all of the projects are executed by one entity, and the rest of them are the sleeping partners. A sound business decision, right? So yes, they've been around for over 20 years. And if we were just to go back to a brief history of time of what they did in those last 20 years, here's a quick video. All right, so these folks were quite active in both Hyderabad and Bangalore. And for some reason, DSR actually penetrated the Bangalore market a lot more. As you can see, they've completed a bunch of projects. And then in Hyderabad, they had quite a bit of projects too. But these folks are fairly regional. They're not just restricted to one city. And yes, this is what I was talking about. Back in the day, they had both of these business units report their financial metrics side by side. So yeah, you can clearly see this was data from a decade ago, and a lot of things have changed ever since. So yeah, that's a quick overview of the kind of cities and the kind of projects that they've done. Especially zooming into Hyderabad, most of them have been part of Jubilee Hills, Banjara Hills. They've done over 15 projects, and then slowly started venturing into Madhapur, Kondapur, Miapur, almost going into high-tech city, that sort of a zone. And their villa projects, actually these villa projects are highly rated. There are three of them: Fortune Prime, Esmeralda, Fortune, Cypress Palms, in Kondapur and Madhapur. Well, coming back to the current set of active pipeline, as you can see, they're fairly well spread out through the western part of Hyderabad. But before going into each of the projects, let's just understand at top line level what are some of the key USPs that they have. This is based on my observation and some of the residents as part of these projects, some of the builders that I know personally firsthand, a few things that I've observed. There are quite a few that come to mind, so let me just restrict to top 5 key USPs. First is thoughtful planning and spacious units. When I mean spacious units, they're at least dealing with 4,000, 3,500 square feet to the bare minimum in most of these projects. They're very limited set of units per floor, 1 or 2, in some cases 4, but quite thoughtfully designed floor plans and unit plans as well. And the other USP within this is standardized unit sizes. The range of a particular project's unit size is typically very small. So they don't have a 1 BHK or a 2 BHK and a 4 BHK within the same project. They're either exclusive 4 BHK communities or exclusive 3 BHK communities. This helps because, in longer term, maintenance becomes easy. You don't have a lot of people who are complaining when a change is being made. That's something that we've observed, for example, in communities like Prestige Highfield, where you have a 2 and a 4 BHK. So that's the first USP. Second is high ceiling heights. Most of their projects at least boast 11 and a half floor to ceiling height, creating an airy, luxurious feel. I think that's it's a key USP, especially if we want that spacious feel. So that's the second. Third, top tier quality. They don't compromise on this. They typically outsource their construction work to some of the best names in the industry, one of them being SPS, if you've heard, and very impressive workmanship overall. Having visited some of their sites myself, I feel that their construction quality is a key USP. The fourth is iconic architecture. Most of their buildings have unique facades, and this is because they've partnered, especially with the current active pipeline that we'll explore, with NA Architects, who's known for sky defining designs. They've done some stellar work in the past. They do charge a premium, and that's the reason some of their projects are expensive. For example, Genesis, who's a fairly well known architect in the industry, charges about 300. Most architects actually charge half of that, and NA Architects is on a different league, although though they've started their own real estate firm now. And the last USP, which is actually quite rare in the market, is their warm and transparent sales teams. They actually engage, they don't try and BS with a lot of random, on fake facts. They engage honestly, and within this segment, they know that the best way to close a sale, close a deal, is by just spitting out facts. So that's what I've observed, and they're also fairly well informed, comfortable, with the conversations that they've had. So yeah, that's the key summary of what you might expect from this group. Again, this is one view. I'm sure there are other downsides too. But the key USPs, just to wrap up, is thoughtful and spacious units like really huge floor plates, high ceiling heights, top tier quality, iconic architecture, and warm and transparent sales teams. All right. Now coming to their active pipeline, all of the three groups put together have at least 20 to 25 projects that are under the works. Um, I've done rough math based on median selling point, and they are sitting on at least 20,000, about 15 to 20,000 uh, crores worth of inventory. I mean, some of this has been sold out, but essentially that's the total worth of the projects that they're sitting on. Amazing. Let's just quickly focus on some of the projects that are on our screen. We'll go from east to west. Just a quick glimpse of what kind of projects exist. This is GVK Sky City, facing Tank Pond, sort of one of the unique high rises in this particular area. Only 98 units, 4,200 to 5,500 square feet. Next up is Fortune 1 by SSI, and this is where you can make out the difference. Um, this is led by SSI, but then there'll be sleeping partners. This is 174 units in about 3 acres on Banjara Hills Road number 12. So very conveniently located for those who sort of work around this area. And this is also has recently been granted OC and people started living. So both of these projects have been handed over. Next up is an iconic world at Jubilee Hills. Massive project, 430 units. I say massive because usually, they deal in either double digit or, low triple digits, but this is 438, 5,000 to 12,000 square feet. So this is where the range is actually quite broad. But yes, on in Jubilee Hills, conveniently located again. The USP being their clubhouse designs, their expansive floor plans, all of that. So, a great project. I mean, meant for the ultra high net worth individuals of Hyderabad. Next up, further to the west, is the first by DSR. This has been handed over, sold out, from what I know. 99 units only in about 2.5 acres. Standard single size, 6,666 square feet. So 6,666 square feet. So that's the first by DSR. Next up we come closer to the happening place, Financial District Kokapet. Couple of projects here, DSR SSI Twin Towers and then Skymark. Twin Towers has about 85 units, the biggest floor plate the South India has ever seen. And this is why I call them a bit of bold and ambitious. So 16,000 square feet. Massive. Again, designed by NA Architects. Skymark, 4 BHK exclusive community, about 664 units, 4 towers, 4 units per floor. The starting size is 3,999, roughly about 4,000, going all the way up until 5,500. That's these two projects right along the ORR. Next up, W by DSR. This is a bit of an odd duck. It's sitting on the Kondapur highway, um, like a single tower, 4 units per floor, and has about 88 units. All standard single size, 5,999, so rough 6,000 square feet. Also by NA Architects. Right, next up, again, we have a lot happening in the Kokapet belt. Let's start with the Class A here. About 448 units, 3,333 to 4,000 square feet almost. Ready to hand over. I think OC should be done and very conveniently located in the Kokapet downtown main road. And then there is Fortune Suntalia Sky Villas by SSI. This has about 2 units per floor, 230 units in 5.5 acres. And the key USPs, again, everything that we've discussed sort of are reflected in this project. High ceiling heights, spacious floor plans, good quality, all of that, right? Yeah, so the clear difference here is this DSR is by DSR Builders and Developers, and this is by SSI Group. So that's the difference that you can make out either by looking at the pin or the map or by visiting the site. Not a huge factor, you pretty much get similar great quality as long as you're dealing with a group. Alright, next up is Marquee, which is still in construction. I think they're done up until the fifth floor. 3 towers, close to the ORR, 295 units, pardon me, and the range is 5,200 to almost 9,700 square feet. They have duplex in one of the towers too, so that's an added advantage for this particular project. Next up is Valar by DSR Infra. This is the group that's executing the world at Jubilee Hills, DSR Infra, which is the logo in red, and that's probably a good way to identify. A good project, a very good project, 282 units, 3,240 to 4,090 square feet, lake facing units available, and then relatively low dense because you have villa community right next to this, and you have the view of Neopolis on one side. Alright, so that's the active set of pipeline that are out in the market that are either being constructed or handed over. But let's also explore a few that are in pipeline. Actually, there's one that's recently come out. There's Fortune Grande. It's still named incorrectly on maps, but this is Fortune Grande, again a big project, 1,200 plus square feet. 2,800 to 3,600 is likely going to be the size, and it's located on the road that connects Neopolis and Golden Mile layout. So that's one to look forward to, Fortune Grande. Next up is Altitudes by, again, DSR Group. This is an exclusive 3 BHK community with only one size, which is 2277. They get quite fancy with their floor sizes. I wonder if it's a sentiment aspect or just the architect's preference. But yes, they do have an active project again in Tellapur here. This is actually by DSR Infra, not a whole lot of details available here. And then there's a villa community in Mokila here by SSI Group, right? Alright, so I think we've explored enough around their active pipeline of projects. One thing that I would say is it's a very smart location strategy. This is truly one of those builders who's navigated and adjusted to the growth of Hyderabad. They've started in Jubilee Hills, Banjara Hills, slowly expanding into Kondapur, Madhapur, to some extent Miapur as well, in the last 2 decades. In the last 5 years, they've actively penetrated into, financial district, Kokapet, and now venturing into Tellapur as their next bet. So I think they're very smart about the location strategy, and the fact that they have three business entities sort of gives them that flexibility and that ability to sort of spread their wings. I know for a fact that they have an upcoming project up north near Kompally, a villa project, and then also down south they have something happening. So they're expanding even further and diversifying their portfolio. So to zoom out and sort of close with final verdict, DSR Infra, SSI, and DSR Builders put together are highly ambitious, have consistently delivered landmark luxury projects in Hyderabad. They've changed the game for what luxury means. Their planning, execution, and specifically their customer service is something that stands out in the market, in my humble opinion. So with that, if you have countering opinions or if you have, a few things to say about this particular group, feel free to put them in the comment. That's it for today's deep dive. Let me know which of these projects caught your attention. And like always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe and keep the real estate enthusiasm going. That's it for now, and see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.